right. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
Be afraid. Be very afraid. One life-sucking Metroid survived the first Metroid adventure, and it's multiplying rapidly. You must help Samus save the universe again in Metroid 2. So we're giving you more power and mightier weapons to search a bigger world where hundreds of strange enemy life forms lurk. Destroy or be destroyed.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Play Retro. This is a show called Play Retro. It's Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. I'm Scott Johnson, your host, and I have to figure out how to get back into ball form again.
Oh no, and I am your other host, Brian Dunaway, and I'm pretty sure I've already explored this area of the map. Yeah, I definitely have already explored this area of the map.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Yeah, you're lost. That's what happens in these games. We're going to talk about Metroid today, everybody. If that wasn't obvious from our little intro there. Morph balls and getting lost. That's the whole idea behind
morph balls.
Yeah, morph balls. I like a good morph ball. Sometimes those morph balls come way too late in the game, and I'll complain about that at the appropriate time.
And sometimes you walk right past them.
Yeah.
Oops.
Sometimes you didn't even know it was there. But we're going to talk about the 2D era of Metroid. One would argue that Dread, the latest in the series, came out last year. That game is in a 2D play style, but definitely presented in actual 3D. So we'll talk about it in terms of the legacy of the series and what it led to. But our focus today is going to be about these 2D games running from the original NES version of Metroid 1 all the way up through, I guess, the last 2D stuff that were truly like pixelated 2D would have been GBA games.
Right.
And
I would say the Game Boy Advance games are going to be where we're going to stop at with the Zero mission. We're going to talk a little bit about the other ones as well. It's unavoidable because the way the storyline carries on. But yeah.
That's the other thing is we're going to also talk about the canonical game as well as its weird spin-offs and a few things like that. There's a pinball game most of you don't remember. We'll talk about that. Yeah, of course. Anytime you
on
got
the
a game
Boy, it was such a weird thing because you had the two screens and it was a DS. It was on two screens. It's no good for a pinball game.
Yeah, it was on the DS, and it had
DS.
The split chunk of plastic between the two screens. So when your ball went up and then came back down, you had to wait for this little blind area where you couldn't see jack. I remember playing it on that thing, and I remember loving it at the time. But that was kind of the thing you did back then. If you had a video game, either a franchise or a character that could be a ball. So if you're Sonic the Hedgehog, you got Sonic Spinball, and later on Sonic Pinball Heroes or whatever that was called. Mario's got a weird GBA game where he rolls into a ball and you play pinball on levels. Everybody wanted to make adjacent pinball games. Why not Metroid since she has to morph ball all the time, you know?
Yeah, she's got a morph ball.
Yeah.
What choice does she have?
Look, if you've got a morph ball, you may as well do it in pinball form. All right?
Yeah.
You may as well
You're already balled
paddle
up. Might as well get on it.
Yeah. Do you think those paddles were smacking her in the head, the ass, the back? Where do you think that hit you?
Yes.
Yeah?
All of them.
All of them. All right.
Yeah.
All
of them.
Because you're in a ball. Well, that ball really assumes a lot of things, you know?
Smacks the bottom of your feet mostly, I think.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, we'll get to all that. Before we do, though, a couple of quick things. The re-release of Advance Wars 1 and 2 got delayed till, well, we don't know yet. It got delayed from April 9th. It was supposed to come out. It's now being pushed. The reason for it, according to Nintendo, is the Ukraine invasion by Russia. And some people have said, well, what does this mean? There's always wars. Why does it matter? You got to understand, this game, I've said this on a couple other shows. I'll explain it real quick. This game is based on that exact pairing of warring nations.
Really?
Yes. The designers said, look, what's a real world thing we can certainly dumb down and be all cartoony with and all goofy with, and hey, isn't war great?
Yeah.
But basically it's like Eastern European nations at war with each other. And that's the basis for those things. They didn't feel good about pushing that out into the world. I would also say
that's probably the right choice.
I would say they have funny timing though in their lives because the first game, Advance Wars 1 on the Game Boy Advance, aforementioned console, came out a day before. It came out on September 10th, 2021 or 2001. The day before 2011. Now, of course, that had nothing to do with terrorist attacks or anything. But the point is, it's just some poor timing. I'm sure we're still going to get it, but they're even like refunding pre-orders and stuff, which is a little extreme.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little extreme.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do.
War ruins everything. Dadgummit.
Yeah, war. What is it good for? Ruining video game releases. Say it again. That's how the song goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're going to have to wait on that. And so as a result, I got in the mood to play a whole bunch of Wargroove. You know what Wargroove is? Have you heard of this?
No.
Wargroove is like a modern, I would call it like a spiritual successor to the Advance War games. They're pixelated. It's things on Steam and Switch and consoles, and it's
most importantly, they don't take place between Russia and the Ukraine. Right?
Correct. It's fantasy based is the main thing. So you're doing like wizards and warriors on horses and stuff like that. So they got away from the tanks and the bombs and all that, and are instead focusing on a more fantasy based thing. And it's a very, very cool one of these. If you've never played it, I mean, it's clearly lifting almost all of its inspiration from the Advance War games, but it's a very, very good one of those, and I highly recommend it. Top shelf stuff. Been playing the hell out of that, and you can download other people's creations. They make maps and all kinds of schmear like that. So anyway, if you want to have a good time, Wargroove is good.
I do want to have a good time. Wargroove, I just added. How do I play it? Where's it at? Is it on the Steam? What you got?
Steam, consoles, all of it. Wherever you want to play it. I think
on my phone?
No, but Switch. It's on the Switch. This is almost like a phone. You walk around with it.
That'll work. Yeah, Switch is good. I can do Switch.
You can hold it up to your head and go hello and pretend it's a phone even if you want.
Did you say it was Chucklefish? I always enjoy Chucklefish.
Oh yeah, Chucklefish is great.
The developer.
I didn't mention that, but yeah, they're very good. That game's only been out a few years. Well, maybe 2017, something like that. But it's quite good and worth the $19 they ask for it.
$19.
Yeah, got a great big campaign and a whole bunch of custom stuff and arcade modes and all sorts of things that the Advance War games never had, although these new ones were going to have some of these things, but now it's been delayed, so you ain't getting it in April.
It looks like you missed out, Nintendo. You had to place your stupid game in the real world.
It's okay,
maybe this will be a lesson you'll learn.
Yeah, maybe they'll learn from this, but the good news is Kirby comes out on the 25th, and we're all going to need time for that anyway, so it's fine. Yeah.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to talk about Kirby eventually.
Oh hell yeah!
I never played much Kirby back in the day either. We're gonna learn as we go along.
I've played every Kirby game ever made ever. I've played all of them.
Really?
Yeah, and I love them all.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I've played several, and I enjoyed what I saw, and I did not get a chance to go back and play all of them. So I'm excited. That's the selfish part of me going, we're gonna do that one so that I can go back and play all of them.
Brian, let me just say to you, and I mean this sincerely, Kirby is a true man's game. So get on it.
But even Kirby Yarn in there like a thing, or is that Yoshi's Yarn?
No, Yoshi's Yarn. Epic Yarn is a different game. But you're not in the wrong territory there. That game's got some Kirbyisms in it, especially on the cutesy side. But Kirby's one of the most...
has a bit of a Kirby in him anyway. He likes to suck up stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. But as far as like creative use of things and creatures around you, nobody beats Kirby. Like, it's some of the most fun emergent gameplay Nintendo's ever created, and it just happens to be in this ridiculously saccharinely sweet package.
Right. Kirby's kind of like a Rogue from the X-Men, right? He sucks up things and he takes on their powers. Isn't that the thing?
Rogue,
the gimmick?
Oh yeah, she touched people and got so she touched Wolverine. She got what his healing ability or whatever. If she
maybe if Rogue could suck X-Men up, that would be cooler.
Yeah,
that would.
Yeah,
Wolverine
this probably exists. No! Rule 34. Don't search for it on the internet. You'll probably find it. Anyway, I am looking forward to that game quite a bit, and we will talk about Kirby at one point because Kirby is life, man. Kirby is the freaking best.
I've heard that.
Hey, Brian, what's a RetroTink 5X Pro? What even is that?
What? You don't know what a RetroTink 5X Pro is?
No.
I didn't either until a few weeks ago. It's an HDMI upscaler for your consoles. I got one because I wanted to upscale my GameCube so I could see my my Metroid Prime in full 1080p resolution. So RetroTink, this thing set me back about $300 because it includes everything. It's got a SCART attachment you can put in there. You can use your composite or your component or S-video inputs. And then it shoots that out to HDMI, and it upscales it for you, and it's supposed to be really low sync, so that you don't hit your knees. It's so that you won't have any lag. And but when I was doing that, I ordered the RetroTink because everybody was recommending it. Because when I said what I wanted to do, they said, "Yeah, you need this," and I ordered it. But then I started talking to a local friend of mine, and he's like, "Oh, that kind of sounds like my Integra 40.3 receiver amp," and I'm like, "Oh, what?" And so I went to looking. And this thing does a lot. And I was able to pick up one for about $200 on eBay. I didn't do the Facebook Marketplace. Shut up. So it's a receiver with all kinds of, S-video, component, composite, any kind of input you can think of. And then it upscales to HDMI. Will it do as good a job as the RetroTink? That's what I'm going to find out over the next couple of weeks, which is a little bit better at doing that.
All right.
Now I know for sure that my the thing I like about the receiver is I've also got a monitor component level on there, so I can put that to my CRT and my HDMI at the same time without another switch. So I'm going to be balancing those two because one's $300 and one's $200. One of them's old tech that you kind of have to work for. I'm just curious.
Okay, which one's the most expensive of these two? RetroTink?
If you had if you bought the Integra 40.3 brand new, it would have definitely been way more. But you can find them on eBay for around $300 right now, which is about how much the RetroTink comes brand new at the box.
Okay.
So
I don't know.
and
I think
RetroTink has a bunch of firmware stuff, and it's got some filtering effects, but I'm not really worried about that because I can do all that stuff on my own. I don't really need the RetroTink to do that, but I am curious.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be playing with some hardware coming up here next couple of weeks.
I can't wait to find out the results of your exclusive hardware test here on the Play Retro podcast. Real quick correction. It's Yoshi's Epic Yarn. Sorry, Kirby's Epic Yarn is the game with Kirby in it. All right?
That's it.
That's a Wii game. Kirby's Epic Yarn. A Wii U game with Yoshi in it was called Yoshi's... Oh, shit. Yoshi's made out of...
I'm pretty sure it wasn't Yoshi's... Oh, shit.
Yoshi's woolly thing.
Mammoth.
Oh, I lost it.
Yoshi's woolly thing.
Hold on. Yoshi's...
Now, that is definitely some hacker stuff there, my friend.
Woolly World. Okay, everything was made out of, like, wool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I didn't, send people down the wrong path there. Yeah. And that thing's on the Switch. They ported that one forward from the Wii U to the Switch. I've never played it. I probably should because I like stupid, over-cute games like that.
Right.
But, yeah, not to be confused with Kirby's Epic Yarn, which looked like everything was made out of yarn. So
right,
it's easy to mix them up.
Is it the HBO special Kirby Your Enthusiasm?
It's Kirby Your Enthusiasm and I don't have any more. That's all I got. That's the only one we have.
I'm out of the Kirby jokes.
Yep, all out of Kirby jokes.
Done.
I tried. There's no more there. All right,
nothing.
Let's get to our main discussion.
Shall we play a game?
You could argue two of the most important game series in 2D history. There's a lot of games, but you could probably argue that Metroid and Castlevania are definitely two very important ones. They're so important, in fact, that they created a kind of co-opted, intermingled genre, and people call that genre Metroidvania. So new games come out all the time, and people say, "What's that?" "Oh, it's kind of a Metroidvania where you do this." "Oh, really? How about Hollow Knight?" "Oh, it's a Metroidvania deal."
You keep using that word. I don't think that word means what you think it means.
It may not in the end. We'll actually kind of dig into that a little bit more this week and next week. But we're looking at the Metroid side this week, and I am such a massive Metroid fan. I love these games. I love them just tonally. I loved them before I played them because I just knew what they were all about was going to be my jam. And I wanted to start things off, Brian, with a little bit of sound from the NES version of the game so that we can kind of get in the mood here. Now, I'll admit, the NES sounds, it's a thing of its time. It's, not the best.
It's the NES.
It was better than your Intellivision or what other garbage thing you had before.
Hey,
so,
maybe.
We're never... Dude, the Intellivision. We're never going to do an Intellivision game on the show, but we might talk about that console.
We'll see. Yeah.
But we're not doing like a game. Like what game?
Yeah, it'd be really hard to do anything like Atari this exclusively. It's like, this game that came out on Atari, and we're only going to talk about the Atari version. That's going to be pretty tough.
Now, someone in the chat says Taz the Man says side-scrolling adventure. It is one of those, but there's something about Metroidvanias that put them in a different category, and we'll try to break some of that down this week and next week as well as to why that is a different definition, because there are many side-scrolling adventure games, but not all of them are Metroidvanias. There's things that set them apart, and I don't just mean they're good. There's plenty of games that don't do Metroidvania things that are great, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a very specific mechanical way those games tend to play out. And we'll get to all that. But here's what people were greeted with when they fired up their Metroid NES version of the game. Okay, here you go. There's a little gameplay for you. So pretty standard NES fare, right? It kind of sounds like what you expected it to sound like.
Except for the intro, they nailed that. They wanted us to feel like we were in a sci-fi kind of a movie, and boy, they nailed it with that first little bit on that NES like that.
Oh yeah, and not even
that was
like,
Tanaka, right?
Yeah, yes, it was, and not even like normal, like what we considered sort of normal sci-fi. It was trying to build a world that was like isolated and alone and very alien. And we didn't know it was a she then, but. The Samus is hanging out in this place that is very unpredictable, and we don't really know what's here, and we're never going to have any help. It's just us. And there's no such thing as like working radios and figure this shit out sort of thing. It was, I think, downright innovative and very weird for Nintendo. They didn't make like serious science fiction. This was somebody else's job. They were making like cutesy kid stuff, and then let everybody else make the weird, darker games. But they were happy to make this one. Unfortunately, they haven't been always so happy to keep making them. We had, I think, a 15-year gap between Dread and the previous 2D game, I think, or previous. I think a Metroid is always defined each generation that it has the potential to be released on each platform that they release. I think it always has the potential of going too far, and so it always ends up being a later release on each of these consoles. So the NES, this was a little bit later release after the NES has been out a while. Yeah. And that kind of is true all the way across. And I think it's because they always plan such big, extravagant things, and it's like, okay, and how are we going to do that? Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that it's a late stage. Oh, that's really funny. That's actually really true. It's like a late stage thing. They do this sometimes with other stuff. There's always an early, not to bring up Kirby again, but there's always an early Kirby in the life cycle of a Nintendo console, and then toward the end there's another one, and it's usually a bigger deal, that second one. But they always have that pattern. It's almost like, I don't know, maybe they plan this shit and say, we're not doing a Metroid until the thing's on its last breath, okay?
Yeah. I think it always has to do with them trying to, it's like, oh, we want to do a Metroid, but we got to tell a story. We got to figure out what's going to make it unique, because it gets complicated. The level designs alone with Metroid are just mind-bogglingly difficult to make something that's not easily broken. Yeah, I agree. Did you get much time with like the original the NES game and what it had to offer? I had plenty of time. I could have, but I'll tell you right now, if you're going back and playing some of these games, the first Metroid on the NES is very painful. If you've played anything since then, you don't realize how limited things are. Your energy rifle is very limited, which is true in other ones too, but it is really limited here. Yeah. And you can't aim everywhere like you want to, and so it's a good visit. I would absolutely recommend that if you wanted to go and go, oh yeah, I remember how this felt, and then move on. Yeah. That's kind of what I did. I was like, that was neat. Yeah. Goodbye. I would also, I don't want to play one much more than I did this week, because one is an experiment in a lot of ways, and in some ways defines what Metroid will be from then forward. But in other ways, it's kind of a hard side scroller. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't have the super hard. It doesn't have like the puzzle elements or the kind of like get lost in this labyrinth kind of quality that these other other Metroid games would have, and certainly Castlevania after that. I mean, you got to remember the whole Castlevania Metroid coming together and becoming something called Metroidvania didn't happen until Symphony of the Night for Castlevania on the PlayStation, and prior to that,
the only other Metroid game was Super Metroid, and Super Metroid, that was the latest one. Super Metroid's really the one that defined this. Like, you can say Castlevania or Metroidvania all you want, but the truth is, Castlevania kind of adopted Metroid concepts and changed what it did. And turned it from just a standard run.
If I remember correctly, they were like 6 months apart in release. Now, of course, that both these were probably long in development, so certainly some exchange could have happened where someone saw a tech demo or something and could have influenced each other. But in our collective minds, you probably either had a PlayStation or you had an SNES. You probably didn't have both, and so I think that's probably the reason why. So when you're trying to talk to different people, you were trying to say, oh, it's like Metroid, Metroid. And then on the other side, you might go, oh, it's like Castlevania. So I think they were so close together that's probably the reason why we put
I think that's a big part of it. But the bigger part is the core design changed right around Symphony of the Night for the Castlevania side. On the Metroid side,
good.
It did. And the Metroid side had done that, I think, with Super Metroid more than it did the previous Metroid games. And as a result, moving forward, these two series would be known for this very specific kind of big overworld map, lots of puzzly stuff, boss fights at the end of everything, very sparse save points, unlock an ability that earlier on you were like, I can't, how come that's a thing up there, but I can't reach it? What's going on? I can't even shoot it. What the hell? And then you forget about it. And then 3 hours later, you're like, oh, I have a gun now that shoots that. Or now I have a grappling hook or whatever it is I have that I couldn't do before. In the case of Metroid, it's often in morph ball form or something like that.
Right. And it's kind of a progression system where before we were mostly doing power-ups that were disposable. You'd use them for a little bit, but now we're more like in the RPG where we're improving in our side-scrolling shooters where we could improve our character and had to improve our character to get past certain barriers. And that was happening in both of these.
Yeah, for sure.
Both these franchises.
Now, in Metroid 2, well, I'd like to ruin your ears for a minute, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, please do, because Metroid 2 is on the, the Metroid 2 for sure? Okay, this is on the Game Boy Color?
This is the Game Boy Color. I think the color version of it that I have video for, but Metroid 2 technically is a Game Boy game. And then later on in life, some remake stuff happens. We'll talk about all that. But this is what that sounded like. And this was the version they had. Well, that game was on this. They had that on both SNES. Oh, no, I'm sorry. NES and Game Boy, right? Do I have that wrong?
I don't think they ever released Metroid 2 Return of Samus on the NES. I could be wrong, but I don't remember. I do know they had it on the Game Boy, and it's also included a color palette, which if you have the emulation, you can play on the Game Boy Color, which is what this person looks like they did.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm laughing kind of hard here because the Wraith in the chat says probably why it's called Metroidvania rather than Castorloid or Castoroid.
Go. Castoroid would be. I'm gonna start calling him Castoroid. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Castleroid, right? Castleroid. Yeah, it's no wonder that took off the other direction. Anyway, that was a horrifying thing. Listen to this. Yeah. That's enough to...
Now that has some 70s sci-fi in it, right?
Oh, yeah. Very much. Yeah. Then it got, So this is what I think is That's NES. Listen to this one. Hold on. This is Game Boy.
I don't remember that ever being on the NES, but like I said, I only had a week to prepare. So I could have missed a few things.
No, you're right. There's a little bit of confusion on where this thing showed up. Maybe there was versions on both, but
I definitely know Game Boy Color was the second and primary place they put it on because R&D 1 at Nintendo were in charge of that Game Boy. And
Game Boy Black and White first, right? I know they ported it to
correct.
color. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't even know if they ever even released it officially to the Game Boy Color or not, but they definitely included the Game Boy Color palette because they were planning on releasing a version, I believe. So, and this may be an NES version. I'm not sure.
Well, again,
or maybe some kind of hack.
Yeah, it could be a hack. That's the other thing. But you're right about the whole when we release Metroid games is always near the end of a cycle. This was very much at the end of the Game Boy cycle, moving on to Game Boy Color and soon GBA. It was late in the NES cycle for the first game. It was late in the Super NES cycle. It's just a weird thing. It's just a weird.
Yeah.
Is it their way of going?
Seems to,
yeah.
Everything I was reading with the interviews and things with each development team that was working on each version, it was always a sell. It was always a tough sell. It's like, I don't know. And the reason why is because it never did very well in Japan. The whole Metroid series never did well in Japan. It always did great in America. And I'm going to attribute part of that is part of my opinion on this. We would get by the time we got the systems from Nintendo, by the time they reached here, it was pretty early on by the time the Metroids would be coming out. So I think they had a little greater impact. Whereas, like you said, it's late in life for in Japan, it maybe just doesn't appeal because I don't know why it wouldn't appeal to the Japanese market, but it definitely did not do nearly as well in the Japanese market as the U.S. market.
It may not be the what's the word? I don't know what the word is.
Genre type?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's not the most anime thing on the planet. Not that that's what everyone has to have over there. But,
They tried to turn it into the most anime thing on the planet.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that. That manga, I don't like it. No, sir.
You didn't like it?
No.
Did you read any? How much did you read of it?
Not,
I read
not
like
very much.
half. I read like half of volume 1, which is like 160 pages. So
What'd you
I think I was like near 100.
Yeah. What'd you think? You like it?
Well, let me tell you this. So I found out there was a manga. I was like, oh, sweet, cool, more Metroid story behind the scenes. And I downloaded it and I started reading it. And I'm like, oh God, this is a horrible English translation. This is terrible. And then I said, oh yeah, I'm reading manga. I'm reading it backwards. And so once I realized that, it wasn't terrible. Now the Metroid lore is kind of. It's not very Americanized, really. I mean, some of the things in it is like, okay, that's Japanese weirdness right there for us. So there you go. There's that manga. I thought it was okay. I read some manga. I thought it was all right manga. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I don't like manga in general. Not a manga guy in general. So it's just not really my thing. I love comic books. I can't stand manga. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Or
this was kind
manga,
of played
whatever.
really. It was played really straight. They didn't get too weird, and maybe that kind of actually disappointed me because I expected to get. I mean, sure, she's talking to giant birds, ancient birds called the Chozo, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Ancient birds. That's fine.
Yeah, didn't
Yeah.
get much weirder than that.
No, it's fine. Look, there are
It's
probably
fine.
people that really adore that stuff. It just isn't me.
Was that on screen? Did that person just get the spider ball? Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I have never gotten the spider ball, and if you have never gotten the spider ball in Metroid. I think originally was on the Game Boy version we're watching now.
Yeah.
Part 2. It allows you to climb back up. I've never gotten that in any of the versions I played.
Well, if you played
wanted
2, did you play 2 at all? Did you give 2 any time? I played a little.
I played 2 just a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't get far enough to get that ball, so
Yeah.
that was a much later thing. But what you're describing, that's perfect that you said that because you're describing what makes Metroid. I'm moving along doing my shit, and I'm shooting stuff, and that's great. But pretty soon, I'm going to unlock a rad thing, a missile launcher, or I can turn into a ball. Okay, the ball's cool, but how cool would it be if that ball let me climb up a wall? Or what if that ball let me drop bombs? And I couldn't do it for 90% of the game, but now I can for the last 10%.
That's right.
Which means all this stuff that was explodable before wouldn't move, but now it will because now I have this new thing. So it's almost like they figured out a way thematically, story-wise, and mechanically to make the levels almost reusable.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Which
well,
is
like most games you have to have new areas all the time. Well, this game was like, well,
Right.
what if we made you backtrack?
Yeah,
but it was-
Mario.
Yeah, exactly. But what if we made you backtrack and you got to stick to walls? How about that? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It
was, originally the way they made the map. Okay, the first one was developed, Metroid on the NES. It was developed in, it really had a small team, but then everybody poured in near the end to really bring everything together. So a lot of it's amazing that they got the maps they got because if you laid out the original Metroid map where Samus starts, directly above Samus in an area you can't reach is the Mother Brain. She's right above you. The final boss is right above. That's how much backtracking you do in this game. And
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I love it. I love it. And I used to not like it that much, but as I've gotten older, I appreciate because your memory starts increasing as you play these types of games because you're like, oh, okay, well, I know that in the Metroid series that I can ball up, and I see right there that I'm going to be able to use that later. So you get to look for things that you get to be a little looky-loo while you're going along. It doesn't make it nearly as frustrating as some Metroidvanias I play, where it's like I feel like I'm just backtracking forever with no clue to what I'm doing.
Yeah,
they do a good job of giving you
the
clues.
games have always done a pretty good job. Although that stuff inside the wall we just witnessed, freaking F that. I always hated that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the hidden walls. I think Zelda, all the Zelda series do really well with letting you visually see when a wall is destructible. It usually is, it may not be super obvious, but if you're paying attention, you should be able to see it. But in that case, no, you're probably not going to notice it. It's going to be a little bit bigger pain.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. It's not that it's not, there's plenty of hidden stuff in these games, but I've always felt like Metroid was pretty good about giving you the right visual clues or giving you the tools you needed to figure the stuff out. If you just gave it a second and thought about it, and paid attention, you'd be okay. So it was like a more cerebral approach to these scrolling adventure games, which by now we've had a billion of them before the NES version. We know what that stuff's about, and some of them are brilliant. Mario Brothers is a classic for a reason. It's just a new level of that, and a level that involves more depth and more thinking and more problem solving. And I think that players were, pretty stoked to get that. Now we
were definitely into it because I love Super Mario. I love playing that, but after a while, it kind of fell down to the part where I feel like I'm just speedrunning, and I never really cared that much for it. Even though there's a huge SNES Metroid speedrunning contingent out there.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you got into that yet.
People love the speed running in Metroid.
Yeah.
You kidding me? Some of the
Super
biggest
Metroid?
ever.
Woo.
Yeah, Super Metroid. People love it. I don't know what the current record is, but it's some crazy low number, and it makes me embarrassed. To say that I play video games because apparently I really don't.
Because you do play video games. You just don't speedrun them.
No,
which I'm no good at.
Speedrunners have a way of making me feel bad about myself. It's a weird thing because I know a lot of them are using hacks and cheats and stuff like that. Not cheats, but like exploit in the game or whatever. But I've seen
it's not a cheat if it's built into the game, right?
Right. That's what I say. It's in fact, I think the guy doing the video right here is maybe using a cheat because this is one of those 100 videos where the goal isn't to show you a perfect play. It's to show the full game. Right. So there'll be deaths, and that's fine, and you go ahead and die. I am showing the Super NES version right now. For those at home, there is a marked increase in fidelity and animation and quality and stuff when this game came out. In fact, you can hear it quite obviously in this clip here that I'm about to play. So this is from Metroid 3, or as most people call it, Super Metroid, for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Super, that is.
Super.
Oh, creepy. Weird creature noises. Yeah. Oh, the Metroids are up to something again. And then you get into some gameplay here. Here we go. Oh, it's music again. Okay, here we go. Oh, this just brings back feelings for me.
Yeah. SNES, man. Great sound processing and some of the greatest
it just
artists.
Feels so good. Let me skip over here. Can you hear that? Just it's so good. It's a real high watermark for the series still to this day, and most people consider it not just the best Metroid game in the history of the series. Although I say it isn't, but we'll get to that in a minute. Because my favorite doesn't exist without it either, so I kind of have to respect it either way. But it is one of the greatest video games ever made, of all time. Right. It's on lists, everybody's list of top 100 games. It's up in the 10 somewhere. So I don't disagree with them at all. It's an incredible game.
It's so smooth, and it's just so much fun to play because it's not frustrating. To me anyway, and not like the first couple of ones were kind of frustrating. This one actually got it right, and
they give you more tools.
Had everything.
Yeah, they give you more tools. They give you the boss fights are hard, but doable.
You can aim in 8 directions now. I think. Yeah. For this one, is that right?
Think so. I think Let's see. Hold on. Let me do it in my head. Yes, that's a total of 8 because you could do. Yeah, that's 8-way. Yeah, no longer 4, which is what the first 2 were.
Right. Right.
And they were just D-pad, so that made sense, and they didn't really have.
Yeah, you're a D-pad too. So
well, you're a D-pad. This had D-pad. It was obviously still D-pad, but this had 8-way D-pad. That was one of the innovations of the SNES. Was that? Anyway, we're looking at a boss fight right here. He's fighting like a big asparagus penis or something. I don't know what this is. I don't remember this fight, but it's a very, very good game, and I think just kind of everything from production value to tone and to everything was really, really amazing. Here's the problem with this game. This game,
you got a problem with this game?
Yes, this game. It's not the game's problem; it's our problem. This game established the norm, or let's say the new watermark, the high watermark for what we should expect from one of these. Okay. The problem with that is now, anytime you make another one, you're going to be compared to the GOAT.
Right.
And that's hard to deal with when you're trying to make more games. It makes me wonder if that's why Nintendo's slow to make more Metroid games, because it's just hard to keep up with the high standards that you set for yourself 20 years ago.
That was like I said, I read a bunch of interviews from the developers of each one of these Metroid games, and that was always usually built in. It's like, well, we can't just make another Metroid game. We got to make another Metroid game and improve upon it to a real degree. So every time they would do one, it was always, such high expectations.
Oh yeah.
And the long development time, and it would always just come down to the wires. Like, we're not even. Matter of fact, Super Metroid almost didn't make it out. They were like, we're not even, just close it down, shut it down. It's taking too long. We're not going to make any money in Japan, and it's just too late. Shut it down. Yeah. And it happened to make it through, and thank goodness it did.
Boy, am I glad it did.
That you love.
Yeah, the one that everybody loves the most. Imagine that never coming out. I'm not sure we'd have had much more after that. Actually, if we hadn't had that, that would have been a relic of the NES era. It wouldn't have been the influential thing that it is today. Like, what a nightmare scenario that is for gamers. All right, now we jump forward to a game. That was
Super Metroid 3.
3, which is, no one ever calls it 3, but it's canonical. There's a 2D story run. It is third in that run.
Right.
And they are canonical, and they are all connected together. These ones that we've mentioned is 1, 2, and 3.
And we've already passed Metroid Prime storytelling, by the way. We're already well past Prime.
Oh, yeah. Prime is a prequel, basically, or a jump back.
It's after the first one and before the second one, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Zero Mission is
absolutely the earliest one.
That's the Prime. That's right before Prime, though, I think.
Right.
And one of the things about Prime and Zero Mission is you have an identical Metroid suit, or Samus suit, or whatever it's called.
Right. Samus suit.
Here's where we get interesting. All right. Let's jump ahead to the mighty handheld days of the Game Boy Advance, and to one.
Scott's about to show his preference, I think.
Yes, that's one way of putting it. We're about to talk about, I believe, the best Metroid game ever made. I still believe this. I love it. In 2D Metroid, okay? Because I think, again, the Prime's a different conversation. It's like, if we're going to talk about Prime, and we may talk about Prime one day, but it's a different discussion than these 2D side-scrollers. They share a lot, but most of it is very different because of the way those games are presented. So I am not trying to tell any Prime people out there that this game's better than Prime. That's not my point.
And let me tell you something else about Prime. It came out at the same time as this game.
Yeah, it did. Prime was like, hey, home console, here you go, GameCube. Everybody else walking around and going on the bus, you get a 2D game here. And they came
out the same day, man.
Metroid Fusion, which is Metroid 4. I just think of it as Fusion. Fusion is by far my favorite. And a big part of it is, I think it's a huge step up visually. I think that new suit of hers is amazing. It's my favorite of the whole series.
You're talking about the genetically modified. They had to rip part of it off because she got the X on her,
right?
And then she got the Metroid. Yeah.
And there comes other M or whatever. We won't talk about that
M. Yeah.
She's after her, and now she's got to get away, whatever. It's very, very good. It's paced extremely well. It has all the hallmarks that the series should have, But one of my favorite things about it is I just think it controls better. I think it has better use of the way the cannon works, how you can freeze and stand still, what buttons it uses for those things. They changed up a bunch of stuff from the SNES. The SNES did have configurable buttons, but I don't know. When you know what your defaults are and they're really good by themselves and you never question them, I always like that. I respect it. Anyway, Metroid Fusion's amazing. Here's a little piece of that.
It's Game Boy Advance audio.
Here's some actual running around. That's her jumping and swinging. It's such a silly sound.
It is.
Oh, I just want to play it right now. I love this game so much. I freaking love it. I also just think it's just more colorful. It just looks more vibrant. Plays beautifully, even if you're... So I own this on cartridge with no machine to play it on. So I'm playing an emulation run right now, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I'm not gonna, you know.
Are you playing yours on your Anbernic?
No, this one I'm playing on. I keep thinking I'm going to stream it, which is why I started it here. Right. But I'm doing it on OpenEMU, and it's running great. Zero issues. It's fun playing it full screen. So yeah, I could play it on my Anbernic, I suppose.
Right, you could. But it's not the best experience. I played mine on the Mr. FPGA, and it runs smooth as butter. And I played a lot of this, and I'll tell you right out of the gate, I had never played this one, and I was a little bit at first a little turned off by how colorful it was after playing the previous ones, which all were kind of dark. But here we are in this, we got to make use of the GBA, man. We got to bring some colors in here. And I'm like, maybe it brought too many colors. Take it back a little bit.
Take it all. No, you take that back because it is beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'm not saying it's not beautiful. It's gorgeous, and it sounds pretty good, too.
Oh, no, it sounds amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's got all the upgrades. You also get the upgrades that are very quick click. The game's not short, but you get your upgrades fast, and I love that because I'm not dinking around too long. It's like, finally, I got the ball, and I'm only an hour into this. Like I do like that. It's generous in that way.
That's my biggest complaint about the game. I'm probably played more of this than I played the rest of the games because once it gets its hook in you, you can't stop playing it.
Yeah.
But
this one's good.
I didn't feel like I was exploring very much. It's very linear. I'm constantly going to the next area for it to tell me what I need to do next. And it feels a little on rails in that way, unlike the other Metroids.
Disagree. See, I disagree.
I felt like I was having my hand held, and I'm like, what is this? Why is my hand being held? I'm used to mean, evil, terrible, hard times. What's going on?
Yeah, what you're doing there is smoking crack. Here's what I would say. So, okay, one thing they did add that was a very nice quality of life feature is up in the right-hand corner. Those watching live or watching the archive can see this. The map is shown in real time, or parts of it, a piece of it. And so you kind of have a decent idea of what you've explored and what you haven't. Anything that's pink, you've been through. Anything that isn't, you haven't. And you can also blow it up to full screen like you always do with the map and kind of look where you are in general. That didn't exist in the previous three at all.
No, SNES had the Super Metroid. Did have a map.
It?
You had to pull it up, but it was there. I don't think it had a mini map.
I'm gonna look right now. I mean, I know there's one.
You can look.
I know there's one built into the built into this pause menu, obviously. But you're right. It is there. You're right.
Yeah,
you're totally right. Okay, I take it back. I don't know why I thought that was true. Anyway, doesn't matter.
It feels like it would be true.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't use it like I did in Fusion. I felt like I used it more in Fusion. Maybe it's because it's pink.
Fusion, yeah, I felt like I used the map way more in Fusion. I didn't feel like I used it very much, and you're right about that, though.
Yeah, but the game features the same sort of... See, I would say it's the opposite of Rails. If any of the Metroid games have gone too on Rails, I think that's Dread. And Dread's a very good game, but Dread is not the labyrinth that the previous Metroid games were. And for good or for ill, I mean, some people may be fine with that. I think I'm okay with it even, because Dread has kind of got its own thing. And the games have always kind of had their own thing, and it's good when they lean into whatever thing it is. But for whatever reason, this one just stuck with me and sticks with me today, and I think holds up. Just, you can look at a lot of old games and go, oh, they still hold up, they're still playable, they're whatever. This feels like it could have been made yesterday, and there's sensibilities there that feel like modern gaming sensibilities and design choices, and I respect them.
Right. You're absolutely right. I do feel like the SNES version, the Super Metroid, looks a little bit dated, and this feels a lot more like where we kind of stopped and said, okay, this is the pinnacle of this look, and we're going to make indie games that kind of look like it. And that's it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But when I start comparing them to the others, I'm like,
I know
this
it's
one's
hard.
missing that part.
See, I know what you're saying. And when you say the others, you're probably mostly talking about SNES, right? Super.
Yeah, but most talking about Super. Super, like I said, it's maybe the level design was a little bit different. I just feel like it didn't have as much handholding. Now, I'm far from knocking Metroid Fusion because I think it's a fantastic game. But that to me is like a core component to the Metroid series that it not hold my hand at all. It's like, get off me.
Yeah. I don't feel like this one held my hand much, but maybe I remember it wrong. And the truth is I'm sticking with this longer than I am Super. So maybe that handholding worked for me.
Yeah.
Handholding.
Yeah. Handholding in the handheld.
Yeah.
But it's the easiest if you haven't played any Metroid games. It's probably one of the easiest ones to jump into.
Probably the most approachable. I'm not going to say easy though, because the game's still hard. It's still a hard game.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
But
there were so many save points.
There's tons.
I was like, oh my God, am I going to save here? I just saved like 5 seconds ago. Those like times I would even come to a save point. I'm like, I'm not even going to save.
Yeah, it's generous with save points. If that's a downside for people, then they're not going to like how often you get to save in it, because you do get to save quite a bit. I agree with that.
It's amazing. It's definitely at the top.
Love it.
Metroids.
Then you got your Zero Mission, which was a remake of 2, no 1.
Right.
Yeah, remake of 1, but a complete remake, like not a here's an upgrade.
Yeah,
whatever.
It wasn't a 1-to-1. I mean, when you start out on that first platform, you may like go, okay, this looks like the first one, except it's modern. But then as you start moving around, you're like, oh yeah, I can aim in many directions. I've got trails, as I move. It's a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the core story, the setting.
It's good though. It plays real well.
Yeah.
That's a very good game. Some people like that game better than all of the ones we've talked about. So I just wanted to make
it's
sure
on the Game Boy Advance, which I think just worked so well for the Metroid series. I think I enjoyed the handheld ones more than I enjoyed most of the rest of them. I played a lot of Super Metroid, but I gotta say, I had a lot of fun on the other two.
Do you want to hear the cardinal sin of Metroid? I'm going to play it for you.
Yes, please.
Now, I know the game is not well thought of either, but on the Wii, there was a game called Metroid Other M.
Yes,
and,
people hate that one for some reason.
Yeah.
I didn't get to that one.
I never played it, so I can't speak to the quality of the game. A lot of people hated it, but I have heard enough of the game's cutscenes and other stuff to actually pinpoint why I think this thing's a problem. So I'm going to play a little bit of it, all right? This is a nightmare. Here you go.
I awoke to the familiar voice of a quarantine officer.
Let's try sitting up, huh? Slowly now.
A dream. I had been reliving the tragic moments of my recent past. Thanks to the hyperbeam, which was given to me somehow by the baby, I laid Mother Brain to waste. And the explosion that followed destroyed planet Zebes, along with the remains of Mother Brain, the space pirates, and my long-standing nemesis, Wrigley. And the baby.
And the baby. Don't forget the baby.
And the baby.
So what I'm saying here's what I'm going to say, controversial as it might be. I don't know. Maybe it won't be. You never, ever need to give voice to the Metroid series. Ever.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to talk.
I liked it when
no one needs to talk.
Yeah, you didn't need to.
You don't need it. I'm telling you, the visual storytelling of that series is the chief reason it's so amazing. It doesn't need anybody to say anything. You can have your text screens and you just got an upgrade. All that stuff's fine. Have a couple of weird robot voices, whatever. But you don't need her talking. It's just, and I'm not even like, this isn't even me saying, oh, the voice acting was so bad. It's not very good, but it's not even really my problem. My problem is you don't have Samus talk. You don't have any of them talk. We don't need it. Mario needed a voice, but they didn't have Mario talk. Remember, okay, Brian, remember how Mario's voice became, woohoo, and that sort of, and that's his voice, and it's nothing. It's
Yes.
like no big deal, and it's charming and it's actually endearing, and we prefer Mario this way. Good job. Here's now Sega. Let's look at you and see where you screwed up. The minute you could give a voice to Sonic, you effed that right up. Because instead of making sense or fitting the vibe of the series, instead he's, hey, man, where's your skateboard, man? Like, it's just shitty. So I'm not saying that this is quite like that, but it's a dumb idea. It adds voice where you don't need it.
Right.
It seems like
and it wasn't just... I read just a little bit about this one just by accident, and the developers on this team developers were actually... glad they went in that direction. They wanted to pursue to flesh out the character. But I'm with you. I think
it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
I think that when you start saying some of the things that you read, when you read the story of Metroid, it in your mind, you're like, okay, I can just. But when people actually say words like the baby, then it starts feeling weird.
Yeah,
and
it starts. Not only that, like I look back at Prime, which was amazing.
Right.
In fact, I'll tell this over the Prime menu music here. Oh yeah, baby.
Who's making balloon animals?
It does sound like balloon animals, doesn't it? It's making little Metroid animals. Oh, I love this. It's one of the greatest menus, pause menus in the history of video games. Anyway, that game even was smart enough in an era where it was easy to get, VO. On everything, you could have easily screwed that game up and had Samus walk up every terminal and go, I don't recognize this one. I wonder if it's the baby. Like, you don't have to have her talk. Just have her be this, like, I don't know. I don't mean to be too ranty about this, but I feel strong about it. It's a mistake.
Yeah, and like you said, it really did hurt that. I mean, that's a major... It's not something that you're complaining about. It's something that the fan base complained about. And it's not necessarily because of the voice being grating or whatever. It just it put a personality in Samus that made it too intimate for people who usually look at bounty hunters as very quiet, stoic people. And that's what she is. She's a bounty hunter. And when she starts pontificating and everything, you're kind of like the Mandalorian's a great example of doing it right. He does talk, but when he says stuff, he's very reserved. He doesn't give you a lot of his emotions, and that's what you expect from a bounty hunter.
Yeah, you want that from... Okay, that's a great example, because they give him just enough to say in that show.
Right.
And then they almost blow it when they have the helmet come off.
Yeah.
And he starts
to say more.
Back on.
That's one of my biggest problems with Boba Fett. I was like, man, if you don't put that helmet back on.
Yeah, you're not cool without it, dude. Put the frickin' helmet back on. What are you doing? So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of my system about Other M. I don't know about the quality of that game. I only know that that's already a problem out of the gate, and they could have fixed it by not doing that.
Can I side rant? Side rant?
Go.
All right, so I've been saying, you guys know we're playing retro here. You're probably a play retro person too. You're out there. You're trying to figure out how you want to play retro. If you want to do some software emulation, or if you want to do hardware emulation, or if you want to go back old school and put up the original equipment. Well, I've been doing some of the original equipment in conjunction with everything else, and I have hooked up my GameCube and my Sega Genesis, two systems I owned that I loved, and then I hooked up the Wii. And I am telling you, every game that I have played on the Wii has been disappointing because of that dang Wiimote. And maybe I've just got a set of games that just didn't work for me. But I haven't finished forming my opinion yet. But I'm not sure if the Wii holds up. And I might be saying something that everybody already knows.
Yeah,
but for me,
I agree.
For me, I didn't realize it.
No, I agree. You know what else I don't like? We always talk so glowingly of Nintendo and the stuff they do, and they do. They innovate, and they are responsible for so much of what we love about old gaming, new gaming, and everything in between. And I don't want them to ever be gone. But sometimes they get so far up their own butts with gimmicks that it's detrimental to the games and to the systems they're on.
Right.
And I think that forcing me to use a Wiimote for Metroid... What was the other one? Or the Prime 3, I guess.
Prime 3. Other M I saw it and I saw people play it and I'm like, ooh, they're doing that with the Wiimote.
Yeah, it's a bummer because it's on the one hand you're like, whoa, Wii Sports, this is awesome. Look at all this, but how do I play my traditional games? Turn it sideways. Well, that sucks. Everyone else's controllers are cooler. And then the other thing I think that doesn't hold up over time, even though there's some really neat things that happen there. DS and 3DS, I hate to say this, but 2 screens and a pen. It's too much, man.
Controlling things with the stylus
was garbage. It was garbage. It was garbage then. It's garbage now. It's not good. There's a reason why people love the Switch and greatly disliked the Wii U. Well, the Wii U is more of a traditional console.
The Wii U worked out a little better because you could literally. I mean, it was just a big giant gamepad. I actually liked the Wii U. I had it for a while, and I got rid of it because it was already late in the generation, and Nintendo never comes off the prices on the game. So I was buying games that were 2 or 3 years old and were like $50, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to a different console. Yeah. But I really enjoyed the Wii U when I had it.
The Wii U was fine. Nobody bought it, so that made it less fine. Or a lot less people did, I should say, not nobody. But and there's some interesting games released then that have now been re-released on the Switch. Yeah. The Switch is the perfect combination of they're trying to do some gimmick, portable and TV at the same time or whatever, and it worked.
It worked.
So you get lucky sometimes.
The Wii U could plug controllers into, but it is not always there. In every game they were developing, everybody at Nintendo, when they were doing any first-party games, were being forced into at least putting part of the game into this this control set they had, and I think it hurt it. And,
I think it absolutely hurt it, and it's a bummer because there's
long term. Yeah, short term it sold amazingly.
Well, it's fine, but look, and the DS 3DS pencil pen thing, it had its moment. There were some cool things that came out of it.
Yeah,
but in the end, the best games on those consoles you could play A, without the stupid stylus, or B, without the 3D on the 3DS.
All right, so right now I'm trying to listen to what you're saying, but they went to the full-on sexualization of Samus, which they slowly did as they revealed she was a woman. If you watch any of the ads, I watched like all the ads leading up to each release of each one of these games, and it just kept getting sexier and sexier and sexier.
Yeah. Like, they just kept going.
At some point, I'm like, okay, is this Metroid anymore, or is this just...
It's just Sextroid. It's Sextroid.
Sextroid.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because that's what we do.
That's what we do.
If you want to be totally annoyed with because I just think of her as like this cool heroic character. But if you go search
with really big shoulder pads,
if you go look for if you go look for Samus fan art and then turn off safe search, you're in trouble. You're screwed.
Yeah,
that's a bad time. So, for some people, it's a good time.
I heard Captain N and Samus dated briefly.
Captain M, who's that? Wait,
Captain N. Captain Nintendo.
Oh, who the hell's that? Wait, why? What? Who?
What? You don't remember Captain Nintendo?
No.
The 90s era animation.
Oh, you talking about that horrible cartoon? Gosh dang it!
Yeah, that terrible cartoon, Captain N, man.
Yeah, it's bad. That's a bad time to be alive.
Hey, we had Mother Brain. We had a Mother Brain on there a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
Shoot, Metroid was always a thing.
And the other argument you could make about Metroid is they tried to make a third-person action game out of M.
Yes.
And that was a mistake because that game's either 2D or give me that. I mean, Prime seemed like a mistake until we all realized how good it was.
Yeah. They did really good.
Prime 4 cannot come soon enough. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. Well, Retro Studios did that, an American company out of Texas. Yeah. They had actually signed up for 5 titles with Nintendo, and only out of those first 5 titles they signed up for, only Metroid Prime made it out with some help from Nintendo. And it was the one that I had the most experience with up until now, and it was one of my favorite games on the GameCube.
Oh yeah,
and I played a lot of it. Love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the same folks are making the 4th, so look forward to that. That's taken too long though. I mean, the freaking Wii was the last time we had the 4th one. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Why it taking so long for?
Actually, I know it took them so long. They were too busy making Wiimotes and freaking giant play pads and all the bullshit. Like you make, I don't want to use a stylus. You notice there was no Metroid game on either of the DS or 3DS days. Do you know why? Because that would be terrible. It'd be terrible on there.
Didn't they do? Yeah, just the pinball one was the only thing that was on the.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah, I think
could
you're
be
right.
wrong on that. Once again, only had a week's worth of research. I did a lot of deep dives on this. By the way, it's a fantastic deep dive. There's a whole bunch of books that I've kind of skimmed through. So many great interviews, huge amounts of YouTube videos on all that stuff. I just let them run in the background because I could absorb as much as possible.
Yeah, it's great.
But
have you seen the pinball game or played it at all? It's actually really good.
Which one? The
pinball game, the Metroid Prime pinball.
I have not.
It's very good. Other than that big gap in the middle, I'm showing some video now to the chat.
Right.
It's basically you're in morph ball form the whole game. You're Samus, and you're playing. What I guess ultimately is traditional 3D pinball. It is presented in 3D. It's all polygonal, but it's a good game with good physics and like a fun bunch of stuff you got to do, and you get to kill these Metroid creatures and.
Yeah, it fits. It's not just pinball. I mean, I think there's scenes where Samus actually unballs and attacks the characters that you would have attacked in any Metroid game. So
there's some mini game type stuff. Yeah, there's there's one where you have to jump back and forth, kind of Mario style, and kill a bunch of Metroids in a weird little space, but you're doing it in full Samus mode. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's really good. It's got multi-ball stuff. Everyone likes a couple of balls,
Oh, Phazon multi-ball. Man, they're going to the Prime era then. Phazon.
Yeah.
Love it.
It was good. And holds up. I think the music's a little rough, but the actual gameplay sound quality of the thing is pretty good. I played some today. Right. So available if you have a DS.
I was about to say, you said you had the cart for this one?
No, I don't have the cart for this. I have the cart for Fusion. This I got emulated from, or what am I using? The desktop one.
Okay.
OpenEMU. That's working.
OpenEMU.
Yeah, right. And they do a pretty good thing where they stack the second screen right on top of the other screen, and so it's it works fine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good because it's hard. This is hard to emulate and stream because you got the split screens. There's lots of hard times with
this. Would stream really well on a phone in portrait mode.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? Like that's about the only place you'd want to sit and look at this for too long. But
Space Pirate Panic, man, we haven't even talked about the story. The story's a little bit thin, but they've really kind of, really leaned into it a lot. Yeah. In all the more recent stuff. I haven't played any of the Dread. I don't even know what the story is. I've been kind of waiting for that.
Oh, you should play Dread, dude.
I gotta get Dread.
Dread. I have Dread and have not played near enough of Dread, but what I have played is pretty great. I'm still a little put off by its particular, because every one of these Metroid games, they kind of have a little gimmick, right? And the gimmick is usually, in Fusion, you gotta deal with this suit that's half you and half alien, and there's different gimmicks each game. In the new one, Dread, you are literally running from these horrendous robot construct things that are going to just destroy you, and they're scary as hell. So it's kind of like playing like a survival horror game, and I don't really come to those games for that. And so that feeling of, oh no, I'm freaking, he's going to get me, that feeling.
Right.
Not really what I signed up for.
So you're not feeling any dread in your Metroid
No, I do
dread.
feel dread is what I'm saying.
You do? Okay,
that's my point. That's my point.
Well,
I don't want to feel dread. I want to feel...
Oh, you don't want to feel... I got you.
I don't like being chased around by scary shit. That's not fun for anybody.
Yeah. Well, it's what's really good about the Metroid series from what I saw from all the interviews and the timelines and everything. They only ever made one if they had a good idea. If they felt like they had a really good idea. So like the N64 era, they didn't really do one because they didn't really feel like they had a good idea for it, and it just didn't fit in with what Nintendo was pushing right then, which was the 3D stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they just skipped it. They say, well, just skip it. And Dread has actually been around. The idea, the concept had been around for, I guess, at least more than a decade before it was finally started being developed.
Yeah. It took them long enough. There was 15 years between games. It's insane.
Yeah, they had time.
15 years between canonical games, I should say, because the first, or this is technically Metroid 5.
Oh, look, now that is wild. So what you're showing right now is this is Dread, right?
Yeah, this is Dread.
All right, so something was crawling at us. That was always something that they wanted to do from the very beginning with that, was to have characters crawl, because you saw that with the xenomorphs. There was a lot of crawling in the movie Aliens, or Alien, which this is majorly influenced by. They wanted to make something, theatrical and spacey and, like that. But one of the things they couldn't do quickly was to have these characters crawl. He wanted Samus to crawl, and she didn't do that until much later on. The reason why she would ball is because they didn't know how to crawl. That's the reason why they went with the ball.
That's
so
interesting.
It's fascinating that they had that character crawl. It looks very creepy, very effective.
I love that, though, because the ball is iconic now. Like the mistake,
Yeah,
or the I love when games, they have to do a thing because they're limited by hardware or whatever, programming, and then it ends up being like an important part of the series. I love that. I think
it's worked out well for them.
Yeah, it's been okay. I will say that game's beautiful. And it plays
good.
Yeah, and it plays like you expect, a 2D. I guess this is 2.5D is what you'd call this.
Yeah, 2.5D is what they call it when it's actually 3D, but they render it. The camera position is at almost a 2D, 2D level.
Yeah, it makes me want more. I didn't think it was labyrinthian enough for my plays so far, but that doesn't mean it won't be.
See the power suit has some upgrades. The various suit has some upgrades there for climbing the walls using your energy, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you use all sorts of cool shit doing shit.
But you're not using up your energy. I don't like that. I mean, why even have an energy bar? By the way, the energy bar on Metroid confused me for the longest time, because I kept going, why won't it go? It says my energy tanks have been, expanded, but it still says 99 over there. They only ever say 99. And then someone pointed out to me, Brian, that each one of those tanks goes up to 99, and it's only showing the highest level tank. So as you fall down, which always confused me too, because it'd be like, oh no, I'm down to almost 0. And then I would be like up to 99. I'm like, what just happened?
Well, it's because you got multiple
multiple tanks.
Stacks. Yeah.
Tanks,
I
get that now.
Yeah. Yeah, you understand it now, but I get it. At the time, it's like, oh shit,
I didn't get it.
Yeah, it's a really pretty cool game.
This looks gorgeous.
Yeah, you'd like it, I think.
I definitely think I would like this.
What else is there to say? This has a huge speedrunning following. This game, or Super in particular. And I don't know what the current record is. Do we know what the record is? Some crazy thing. It's like half an hour or something.
Right. I wasn't really interested in I did look, and I wasn't really interested as much as the fastest person, because it always seems like somebody's cheating. I'm kidding. Chill down, speedrunners.
Yeah.
But there's the thing that blew me away is that there's tournaments. Even this year in 2022, there's Super Metroid tournaments going on. If you had signed up back in February, they're playing now, I think, just 3 days ago. I don't know if it was the finals or what, but I linked to the Twitch outside that speedrun little blurb there. But there's all kinds of they've got they got the glitch names. They have all these rules. It is huge.
Oh yeah.
And there's it's a Discord server, and I hopped on there and looked at those guys. I'm like, wow, you guys are amazing. And then
it's insane.
And then I realized I've got to be able to speed run at least one game. I got to figure out how to speed run one game.
What do you want to run?
I need one
What do you want to play?
That's the good question. I want to pick something I want to pick something where the competition isn't this stiff. I want to pick something that's kind of cool, but it has kind of a smaller community. So if you can think of some speed running that's not ed up with world legends, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I want to try my hand at being good. I want to be a big fish in a little pond.
Like this guy. This guy currently holds the record. His name is Zost. He did a real-time run of 40 minutes, 46 seconds for the entire game. The in-game clock was 27 minutes. That's also second player's in-game time, and the second player almost hit it. He beat by just a few tenths of a second.
Yeah, that's the problem. Once you get to a certain point, everybody knows the tricks, and everybody is on a pretty equal field, and it's just milliseconds, and I can't take that kind of pressure.
I love it. To me, this is more fun than following any kind of sports. I think that speed running is really fascinating. And in terms of let's see. They have different records for each version of Super Metroid that ever were released. With the Wii Virtual Console version, the 3DS version, there was a Switch version as part of your online thing.
Each one of them has their own little glitches that you can take advantage of, and there's this. You wouldn't think so, but yeah,
there is. SNES Classic
is a thriving community.
Is a favorite. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I love it. I love watching those videos. I never watch the full thing. I'll usually watch the start. And then I'll jump to the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'll watch the start just to see how they warm up, because it's always when you first start watching speedrunning, you're like, these guys aren't in a hurry. Yeah. What are they doing? They're just kind of lollygagging around. And then I'll scrub to about the middle way through after some people get some power-ups that make you move really fast, and you're like,
yeah,
I suck at Metroid everything.
Yeah, well, Metroid's into it. There are plenty of other games, of course, that people speedrun, but this is a favorite. And I don't know, something about the 2D era of platformers. I think they're the most fun for speedruns.
I think so too, because they're not there's it's a lot smaller space to make errors or to get it right. Whereas when you get in the 3D world, it gets a lot more complicated.
Right. Yeah. Plus, you're not like in the 3D world stuff. You're like, oh, the only reason I did this is I shaved 10 minutes off because I glitched through this polygon that only shows up once a year or whatever.
Yeah.
That stuff's not as fun to me, but watching them just haul ass is great fun.
Right. I don't know. Okay, so we every week, me and Scott research our games.
Yeah.
And Scott will play a lot of games that are inspired by, and I'll do a lot of reading and playing as well. But I'll do a lot of reading with interviews and that kind of stuff. And I like to dig deep into a story if it is there. And Metroid actually has a pretty decent sized story for a game that came out originally in 1986. Mm-hmm. And what do you know about the Chozo and what do you kind of feel like you know? Do you feel like you have a really good idea, or do you just kind of get in there and shoot stuff?
I would say I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think the lore is that interesting on the whole.
Right.
I think that the presentation of the lore is its biggest strength. So the tone of the minute to minute experience that I'm having, the sense of exploration and accomplishment when I figured something out that I didn't know how to do before, beating a boss after 20 tries, that kind of stuff, that's what makes Metroid good for me. If I really peel back the surface and go, all right, well, what are we really doing with this story? It's pretty dumb. Like it's not.
And that's what happened with the other M, right? Because they're putting story first, mm-hmm. and they're doing it through dialogue. And I really found some of it kind of fascinating. I want to dig deeper into it because I do find it fascinating that Samus she's genetically modified. That's what fusion is all about. She's fused between she originally her parents were spoiler, her parents were killed by the space pirates, and it's actually Ridley who did it. And Ridley, of course, is a nod to Ridley Scott of Aliens. Yeah. And that's the bad guy. Yeah. And then the Chozo are they take her under her wing when she's little. And literally, they're birds. Yeah. And they take her back to their home planet, and they have to, genetically modify her with their DNA so that she can live there. This also turns into a little bit of a superhuman because she's from Earth, and she also, they give her the suit, they design the suit. But come to find out, these Chozo turds are the reason why the Metroids exist to begin with, and so you got all this weird interconnecting things that happen. You're like, every time I turn around, there's a twist and a turn. So it's kind of like playing the game in the story.
Yeah, they were literally just trying to blow it up and make it bigger than it was. And I understand that, and I think that works in certain situations. I just don't think Metroid was the place to do it. And I don't think, this isn't just me saying that. I think a lot of people agree with that. I think it was a mistake. Not a mistake, but it's a worthy experiment. I just don't think it worked.
Right.
How about that?
I think knowing some of the things I knew by the time I got to Fusion, I think helped me not to feel like I felt more like I knew what my purpose was. I feel like it enhanced the game for me a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit.
Yeah. I also think the game could have easily been a really good 2D game and then just have all the cutscenes and story. That would have been fine. Do that.
Yeah. A lot more. Yeah. I don't know. I'm always torn about cutscenes. I'm like, especially,
what I mean by cutscenes is, so for example, in Dread,
right,
The cutscenes are these amazing close-up shots of what's going on and these really important moments in the game. That's a perfect use of cutscene. They're done in engine. You don't have a bunch of people talking for no good reason. I really like that.
How about the book you have to read before you start playing Fusion?
Oh yeah,
what do you think about that?
Fusion's got quite the intro.
Yeah, lengthy intro. I
liked it though. I kind of liked that intro. I thought it was all right, art-wise.
Yeah,
that'll look good. You know.
Yeah, it looks good. They had some good cuts. You know, got Samus on there. She's like looking through her visor, and you can kind of see her face, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't know. Maybe Other M needs to just a port to a new console and let us try it again. I don't know.
I agree with you. I think the voice acting makes it. I think there's something that I think I prefer to read her emotion in my own voice as opposed to hearing somebody narrate it.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of voices, I don't know if you didn't pull up any of the Captain N stuff, did you?
No.
Because Bomberman in that is the most
Here, I'll play a little bit of it.
obnoxious.
Let me skip ahead.
Good luck.
Oh, I hate this guy.
Mega Man's voice, I say.
Yeah. Hold on. Because this had a lot of crossover, different.
You ruined everything.
That's Mother Brain.
Yeah, that's Mother Brain.
Let's see. I don't even remember the show being on.
Yeah. So the Captain N.
Yeah, tell me about this. Give me the breakdown here.
Quick overall view. So a kid is playing a Nintendo and he gets sucked in. It's pretty much this Dungeons and Dragons. If you ever watched that, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. He's in there. He wants to get back home. He's got Kid Icarus there. He's got Simon from Castlevania. He's got I think he hangs out and runs with there was not Bomberman, but why am I keep calling him Bomberman because he played so much of it.
Kid Icarus?
But yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Kid Icarus, no, Mega Man, I believe was there.
Oh, Mega Man.
There's Simon.
Got it.
There's Donkey Kong.
Yep.
But yeah, it was trash. But
it is trash. I never saw a single episode of this. It just seems
But I
bad.
gobbled it up. It was if you can load, okay, that's how it happens right there. He's Captain N. He's got his Nintendo shirt on. He's playing some Punch Out.
Yeah, he gets sucked
him and the
into
dog
the TV.
get sucked into the TV.
It's so
very
stupid.
90s AF.
Complete bullshit from top to bottom.
Samus was never in it, but they had all kinds of Metroid universe stuff. They mostly used the bad guys stuff from Metroid.
Yeah.
And but yeah. Who was that? Is that Zelda over there too? I believe it was Zelda.
Probably.
The Game Master.
Yeah. So tell me this: where can this be found? Is this YouTube or something? Is that where this can be watched?
I watched the ones I watched on YouTube.
Okay.
How many are available? I can't say. There was a few ads in it too, so I would be interested in watching the whole series and talking about that sometime in the future. I don't know if there's even enough there to make it worth it.
We could do a whole episode and cover that. Put in the two Mario Brothers or the Mario Brothers Super Show, Super Fantastic Super Show, whatever it was called.
It's a miracle that Nintendo agreed to, because Nintendo has been courted many times for a Metroid movie because it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's cinematic, but Nintendo has been shy ever since the Super Mario Brothers movie. They have been very shy. I'm like, man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was also bad though. It was so bad they can't get it out.
It was bad. It was bad. I agree, but
they can't get the taste out of their mouth. I agree that it's probably time, right? They could do justice to that series now if they wanted to. Not series, but that character and that story. But yeah, Nintendo's weird, man. They hold back and they hold back and they hold back, and then when they finally let something out, sometimes it's bad because they were too chicken. Meanwhile, they make some of the most amazing games, earth-shattering games in the history of the world. They're a weird company. They're weird.
They're a weird company, but I love them, and I wouldn't change them because we need Nintendo to be like they are. Hey, did you we talked about, I don't know where we're at in the show, but I just want to talk just a second about the AMR2, the another Metroid remake.
Oh yeah,
did
fan
you get
remake.
A chance to look at this at all?
No, I never played it and haven't seen it. But my understanding is it's like someone took that other M idea and made a 2D like a good game out of it.
Right. It's probably it felt the most close to me to like somewhere between Super Metroid and Fusion, and it was fan made. Developed it for years. I think like 10 years. Nintendo was aware of the development, but then once it was released, when he finally released it, the Nintendo shut it down.
Yeah, because they're buttholes.
It was, yeah, well, that's what they do. They protect their property. So it was up for about 2 days. And ever since then, it has maintained itself and existed on torrents only. And it is just unstoppable. There's a whole community built up around it. And I did play a little bit of it, and it was very Metroid. And the things that were, like I said, it felt very Metroid. The developer did a great job, and he went on to get a job working on Ori and the Will of the Wisp, I believe.
Oh, no way! That's cool. That's a great modern
also
game.
Metroidvania.
Yeah, very very good Metroidvania game.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll mention a few more of these that I think are worthy of people checking out. I kind of do want to play this. Like, is this considered a good? Is it good, or is it just screw you, Nintendo, and so they're happy that it exists that way, or is it actually good?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
It is good, but it could be more polished. But it is good.
Is it
but
good?
Yeah, part
like,
of it is
enough?
also the suck it, Nintendo.
Okay. Well, I want to play it. I do think I want to play it.
Yeah,
because
I'll send you the. I have the launcher in the file. I'll just send it to you.
Send that to me.
It is well seeded. People love to seed this thing. You feel so good about it because it's like the only illegal part is that it pisses Nintendo off. That's the.
Yeah, no, like, I get you, and they're so they're so litigious. Part of the problem is it's not so much that they're litigious; they just don't make it easy to get their games, even ones that already exist on current consoles.
Yeah.
Like they want to hide all their shit behind a fake vault. It drives me nuts. Yeah. All right, let me tell you a couple of these that are pretty good alternatives, not alternatives, but things directly inspired by. And there's plenty of them. We could mention Hollow Knight, but I'm not gonna because it's a Metroidvania, but it's more Vania than Metroid.
Right.
So
it's more Vania.
Yeah,
it's got
so
all the Vanias in it.
We're gonna save some of that for next week and why Castlevania is what it is. But I would recommend 3 games in particular that are excellent, directly motivated by Metroid games. Okay.
Right.
Axiom Verge 1 and 2 are amazing video games made by one dude who does everything, programming, music, all of it, everything, art, all of it. And I'm telling you, I don't know that I've ever had more fun with a Metroid like than with Axiom Verge. It's very good.
Did you stream some of this past week? Because I watched the crap out of some of this.
I didn't stream any Axiom Verge, but I wouldn't mind. I'm getting pretty far in it.
Right. Well, you know, you can get that on the Nintendo, right? That comes on the Nintendo.
Yeah, it's on the Switch. It's on the PC. It's on the consoles, and then the second one, currently only available on Epic's launcher and
platform,
also the Switch. So there's where that is. That's coming to Steam later, but they got one of those.
And it's called.
We're going to have it on Epic for a year. It's called Axiom Verge 2.
Oh, 2. Okay.
Yeah. Then you got the Mummy Demastered. Now you might go, Scott, the frick are you talking about? Do you remember when that bad Tom Cruise Mummy came out? Remember that deal?
Oh yes, that was. Oh god, that is such a future other podcast we do film. It was
bad. Yeah, and it was also supposed to launch like the Universal Monsters, as a MCU type thing, and everybody was all talking about that, and it turned out to be just utter garbage. But anyway, they made a game in association with that, a 2D pixelated pixel art 16-bit looking game that released on Steam, and I'm not sure where else. I think it's on Switch also, called The Mummy Demastered. And it does not deserve its namesake. It's so much better than the movie it's based on. It's not even really based on a movie. It's like it has the name, but you could have called it anything.
Concept of
you could have called it anything probably. It's so good. 100% worth playing that game, Mummy Demastered. Play that game.
Yeah.
Metroid is hell.
And this is not more. I'm looking at visually. It definitely reminds me of just from the screenshots more Castlevania. But then again, it also is very subterranean and not really castle-like.
Yeah, it's very sci-fi
reminds
too.
Me of Metroid.
Yeah, it's very sci-fi. You're using guns. There's some alien stuff in there too, sort of, I guess. But it's. I would say it definitely falls into the more Metroid side of things than it would Castlevania. So check it out. You think I'm kidding? It's embarrassing.
Are you kidding?
It's embarrassing that movie happened and that it's even good at all. That it even happened at all. But this game, so much better than that movie deserves. So much better. Right. Sometimes that happens. It's rare, but when it does, I'm here to tell you when to play it. Okay, so
Rare didn't make it. Just clarification.
Yeah,
there.
just quick clarification. The other thing I like about it is it's really hyper animated. So all the sprites are like super fluidy. I'm a big fan of that. I think that
I'm
looks
looking
really
at
cool.
these. Is the game still up? Because I'm seeing like little pictures of people. Is this a different game?
No, this
it's
is
the same
it.
game.
This is Mummy
Yeah.
Demastered. It's that person is supposed to be, I think, the character that I can't remember
Is he
who.
back at the office. He's the home office guy.
I can't remember the character played by.
He's definitely the home office guy, trying to tell you, talking you through
Russell
the
Crowe.
Mummy.
Russell Crowe. So I
is
think
that
it's,
Russell Crowe?
I think
Get outta
that's-
here.
It's not him, but I think it's supposed to be
Right.
that character. I think they didn't
Right.
have the rights to faces and stuff, which is fine. It actually makes it better to not have it.
No, this looks fan made. I swear, this looks fan made. But I love
it's
it.
really good. It's a fun
It looks
game.
amazing.
It has an amazing like kind of time warp mechanic. I don't want to say too much, but if you get it on sale or you see it on Steam, and you're like, I can afford the $19 or whatever.
$20 right now.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool Metroidvania. More Metroid than Vania, so worth checking out.
We're checking out, yo.
Okay, that's gonna do it for our discussion about Metroid. Let us know what you think of it, and any other
We didn't
thoughts
even
you have.
we didn't even get to cheat codes and how to see Samus practically naked, or we didn't even talk about Yukio's death after the Virtual Boy. No, that didn't kill him. It
No,
was
it's just,
it was
it's
a car accident.
It goes on forever, dude. We could talk about Metroid until we're dead. We truly could.
Yeah.
But there's so much of
Then
it.
we'd be Metroid dead.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want that.
Yeah. And people will be tuning out, going, "All right, fine, Metroid, we get it." All right, now we're gonna play Guess Our Game. How about that? That sounds like fun. Let's do that.
Destroy it.
That's where we played old audio from a game, or we play old audio from a game, and we try to stump each other as to which game it came from. The only hints we usually give are a year, sometimes platform. We'll do year this year. Chat room always says Choplifter. I already did.
And
You guys already ruined your joke because I did Choplifter like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, it was more than 2 weeks, right? But still, we've
Whatever it
already
was.
covered it. But it could be Choplifter again.
Yeah, it can be
I would
whatever
love
you
if
want.
Scott trolled us with another Choplifter. That'd be hilarious.
That would be great. I've actually been on the hunt for the ultimate Choplifter, and there's a lot of debate as to which is the best. So
Really?
Yeah, I'm
I
still on the
thought
hunt.
there was only one. So that one's always been the best in my book.
there's a Genesis game, there's a SNES game, there's some old
Wait,
NES,
I thought
arcade,
Choplifter
computer.
was Genesis only. Is that?
No, it's
Maybe
all
I
over
would
the
play
place.
it part two.
I think the first one was on a Commodore or something. It's old. But anyway,
It's old.
older than you think. Anyway, here's mine, Brian. It's the year 2004.
Twoo.
2004 in Japan, 2005 in the U.S. This came out. That's all I'm going to tell you. All right.
Don't
It's
tell
on
me
a-
anything else.
It's on a machine that you play it on. How about that? All right, here you go. See if you can figure this out. Oh, I forgot to tell you my favorite sound in Metroid. This right here. When you get a new upgrade in Fusion.
So good.
Yeah, it's a
That is
Fusion
like
upgrade.
I want that to be my ringtone. Why is that not my ringtone?
It should be.
Surely
Put
it's
it
out
on
there.
your phone. Put it on your phone. I have the MP3. You can just put it on there. All right, here you go. Here's mine. See if you can figure it out. Again, 2004 in Japan, 2005 here.
Nice shot!
Oh. Hot Shots Golf?
Narrow it down a little.
Hot Shots Golf Part 2.
Nope. Nope. Oh, I love that sound. Is that weird?
So it's 2004.
Yeah. Listen
It's
to this.
definitely a golf game, right?
Listen to this right here. Wait. No, wait, it's not it. Where is it?
Nice shot!
No, it's up here. Okay. Something goes in the water and it's funny.
You made it.
Hold on.
You made it.
That's not it either.
In the clear!
In the clear.
For a
Okay, here it
birdie.
is. I found it.
Oh, sheesh! Why me?
Oh, sheesh. Why me?
That's why. Oh, yes, that's the way.
That's the way. All right.
That's the way.
All right. I'll tell you, you're absolutely on the right trail. It is a Hot Shots game, but this is a specific version that was not numbered.
Wait a minute. I had a lot of these. For a while I collected almost like all these Hot Shots games. And might I add Outlaw Golf on the GameCube.
Was that
which
good? I never played it. Was it good?
I liked it.
I like golf
don't know if it
games.
would hold up.
I like golf games of all stripes, and sometimes the goofier the better. And it seems like one I should have played, but I never did.
I remember having a lot of fun playing, but I can't say that it was good. So Hot Shots Golf, but I do remember there was like some weirder stuff too. I remember Hot Shots Golf 2, I think, was my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that one is. Hot Shots Golf Bikini Island.
You are 100% incorrect. The answer is Hot Shots Golf Open T on the PlayStation Portable on the PSP.
Open T. I don't. Well, let me look. I might remember this one. Let me see. I did have a PSP, and I seems like I remember having Hot Shots on it.
I loved that game. I took it everywhere with me when I had my PSP, and I played Hot Shots Golf Open T every chance I
And was
had.
it right? Was it called Everybody's Golf, or was it?
Nope, that's the maker. Everybody's golf in Japan, I think, but Hot Shots here.
Okay.
Japan had that Everybody's Golf name. It's weird. Everybody's Golf.
Everybody's Golf 1 and 2. Can you freaking Open T? Here it is.
Yeah, Open T.
Open T. Open Iced Tea. Greatest hits.
Yeah.
I don't remember this one. Nope, I don't remember.
It's
Nope,
very
didn't have it.
good. It's very good. I think the best of the Hot Shots games. I think it's really.
But if
really
I
good.
went ahead and ordered me a Vita, which I've been debating on, this would play on the Vita, right?
Yeah, but the Vita has. I
yeah.
think the Vita also has its own Hot Shots game, didn't it?
Hot Shots Golf, right?
So.
It's supposed to be a great. If you modify it, it's supposed to be a good retro handheld, and this is $10.23 with 7 left on Amazon.
Oh, here it is.
Hot Shots Golf Open T.
The one for the Vita, they had a game in 2012 called Hot Shots Golf World Invitational, and that was also very good.
Oh,
Also very good.
or for a few more dollars, I can get the Hot Shots Golf dual pack with Open T and tennis. Get a grip.
Whoa, easy.
Yeah.
Slow down. I don't know if you can
Slow
handle.
down,
all of
brother.
this. Anyway, I've been playing a lot of PSP stuff lately, and I
Peace peep.
ran into that and I had a really good time with it. Peace peep. Peace
Peace
peep. All right, Brian, here's yours. What's the year? What am I playing?
This is 1987, and now I got to remember what I put in there. Okay, yes, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. I love it, but I'm not sure what this is.
Jazzy, isn't it?
Yeah, this is good music. Give me another hint.
It's on the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System from 1987.
Well, that I knew just from hearing it.
Right.
So that's bad.
How about
that's a bad hint.
seldom seen on the NES Konami developer? I'm kidding.
Oh.
Konami game. NES. 1987.
Oh. This isn't Castlevania, is it?
It would be a Castlevania game.
Castlevania 2?
Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. He's also on Captain N, helping out.
Oh, is Simon
Helping out.
Belmont? Is Simon Belmont, you say? Who is it?
Yeah, Simon's Quest. Yes, Simon.
Simon Belmont. Okay. Veronica Belmont's uncle. Simon Belmont.
Close and family friend. Belmonte.
Sweet. So I think I win this week, and you almost won. Yeah.
I think we did pretty good because we had to narrow down which, but we kind of both knew which series it was from. So that was pretty good.
We did. I think we're very smart human beings,
did all
and
right.
we should pat ourselves on the
We're
back. More
something.
often. Yeah, we are definitely something. Time for an email.
Did you guess
what?
it out there in the audience?
Oh, yeah,
How
tell
is
us.
your
Yeah.
What is your batting average?
Yeah, how do you do with our guessing games? I don't know. I feel like once I pull the chat back up, I see a bunch of people. Let's see.
Yeah. Chat room definitely got it.
Someone said Castlevania 2. Did anyone get mine? Someone said Shoplifter 3. Nobody got mine.
Yeah, nobody got yours. Simon Quest, Castlevania, Tally definitely got that right away. Cole Cash agreed.
Nice. You guys are smart. People at home probably
Smart.
same. Yeah.
Smart or well versed in video gaming.
Oh.
Or both.
Oh,
Why not both?
Why not both? I always say. I may listen to. I'm going to go find some remixes of that song. That's actually really
Dude, that is an excellent song, and I just all the music throughout that whole thing. I'm looking forward to the Castlevania vibe
Yeah.
we're gonna be doing next weekend. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know how I'm gonna fit in the amount of Castlevania that I have predicted that I will play. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, I found a metal version. Listen to this.
Oh, you found a metal
Yeah,
version.
hold on. Let me play this. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going back and listening to all
Yeah.
that.
Castlevania and metal just go hand in hand.
They
man.
do.
It's
It's
perfect.
very metal. All right. Well done, everybody. Here's an email right here.
Welcome to the treasure room.
Email submitted to the show. Come to us at playretroshow@gmail.com. That's playretroshow@gmail.com. Daniel from Sweden wrote in.
Sweden.
He says, hello, Scott and Brian. I love the show. What's your opinion on the Evercade? Personally, I love the concept with carts that just work. No junky. I think he means janky. No janky ROMs and emulations to deal with. Keep up the great work. So, I've been tempted on a day or more to grab one of these. I've not done
now,
it.
Daniel asked about the Evercade. Now, that can refer to either the original handheld or the Versus, which is a console version of that. If you're not familiar with the Evercade, it is a system where you can plug in carts that are officially licensed, and they usually have multiple games, up to 20, maybe more games that you can put in there.
Per cartridge, usually.
Per cart, correct.
Yeah.
So, like, you can get the Capcom or pack, and it would have a bunch of those games in it. So, So continue.
Yeah. So that's, you described it pretty well. There's a whole Data East pack. They have all their cool stuff, everything from Burger Time to who knows what all. A lot of arcade stuff. You're not going to get Nintendo's games.
No.
I heard that there are some knockoffy cartridges being made for this device that one could acquire.
There is.
But I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying it's out there. Anyway, this thing does take, like you said, cartridges, and they're usually full of a whole bunch of games. This is a pretty cool solution for just like, hey, want some kind of retro thing in the living room for the kids, and it's not priced too bad, $129.
Yeah.
And you can get this particular one, the Blaze Evercade Versus Premium Pack, plus 2 volume white electronic games. White? Oh, that means controllers, I guess. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, yes, it's the white model.
It's cool. I like these. I would love one, I think. I did have the handheld for about a day and didn't like it, and I sent it back, but that's because I didn't want to be limited on my handheld stuff. But on a TV, I think this makes a lot of sense to do this. I think it's pretty cool.
This is the one I was more interested in. I saw the handheld, but I was interested in this one as well, because especially when we first started talking about doing retro stuff, I really was having a moment of where I felt like I wanted to give back to the developers who made these things. And this is one of the few ways you can actually get licensed games on a console, unless you do something like AntStream or something like that. But this actually goes back to the publisher, the rights owners of these games, and that made me feel comfy on inside. But then I also know this is very limiting, and already Scott's talking about, well, you can get this, but then you can also get the cartridges that are illegal. And I'm like, well, then what's the point? I might as well just if I'm gonna steal, I might as well steal wholesale.
I see what you're saying. I feel you.
But yeah, so there's definitely. Where's the market at? I don't know. I'm interested in it, but at $139, and it's kind of limited. You'd probably, probably like 40 games, and those are just.
Let's see, 129, and
it's got 2 of the carts in it. Why do we put 2 carts in at the same time?
One, the Data East one, and the Technos. Can you put 2 in at once? That's cool.
Yeah, you can put 2. You can't. So then you can access.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's actually kind of cool.
From what I was reading, most of the games are only 2-player right now, even though there's a 4-port in there. And I'm not sure what kind of controllers you can plug into it. The controllers look okay, and I guess if you're just playing 8-bit, 16-bit era games, I guess it'd be okay. But I'm not sure about the arcade games and how those would translate. There's just a lot of limitations, but I'm definitely interested in it. I wouldn't mind adding it to my collection of how I game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to mess with it, just see what's up.
Yeah.
It's not my biggest problem is I've yet to find a pack where I'm like, yep, that's the one I want to spend $20 on.
Yeah.
I feel like the game mix is weird.
The mix is very weird because it's usually by publisher, which means that you have 2 or 3 titles that are freaking awesome, and then a whole bunch of crap, and just like, I
Yeah.
spent $129. I want to be able to play better than crap, and I also don't know what kind of emulation's in it. I haven't done a deep dive on that. I don't know if it's just software emulation because they're making these deals with these rights owners, but nothing says that they've got good emulators in there. Where did they get the emulators from? Are they open source? Or did they abide by the rules on that side too?
Mm-hmm. There's probably
so many questions.
I know you can hack these pretty easily as well.
Right.
And
but once again, if you're going to hack it, why even bother?
Yeah, then what's the point? Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. They do have these reflashable DIY cartridge slots you can make, which then you can load your own games and do your own thing. But then you're back to Brian's questions. Like, what's the point then?
Yeah, what's the point? If you're going to break copyrights and do whatever the hell you want anyway, there's a lot better equipment out there than that. This really just gives you the opportunity to, feel good about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel good about the one game you paid $19 for and really probably should have got more than that. I mean, the better thing I would do is I would use one of your modern consoles and go buy the Sega collection or go buy the, some of these already exist in collections. It's not like you can't get them for cheap.
The Sega Genesis Mini is still, even at the inflated prices they're at now, such a great deal. I don't think the NES Mini or the SNES Mini is, because you can get those on the Switch or whatever. But the Sega Genesis, man, if you find one of those, there is no reason not to get that.
Yeah, the Genesis Mini is awesome. Did they pull it from production? It's no longer being made, or what?
I don't think it's being made anymore, but you can still find them because they made so darn many of them. You can still find them for reasonable prices. Last time I looked. Things change day to day, like the EverDrive. Don't get that confused with the Evercade. The EverDrive recently shut down, and I'm expecting those things to shoot through the roof. And what the EverDrive is carts for different systems. Like if you have a Sega Genesis, they make a cart, and you can just plug that into the slot, and then you have like an SD card with your ROMs on it, and so it can play all the ROMs you have through the actual original system. So but I think they just shut down. I don't know if I think it was
it's still going. Sega Genesis Mini still a thing. Still go buy
that's
them.
the best deal out there. And then if you do decide you want to go a little bit to the left or the right, you can hack and chi or something like that. It's very simple, easy to do, and load your own ROMs on there. You can even load SNES ROMs on there, I think.
Oh my gosh, there's this. I hadn't seen this. There's a Genesis cartridge. I guess this is not that unusual, but somebody made a Genesis cartridge and put 196 games on it.
Look at this. The war has taken another. Chat room KT Data says the company that made the EverDrive is shut down right now since the guy making them lives in Ukraine.
What?
Oh, come on, Russia. Could you ruin
Russia.
anything else?
Yeah, no kidding. You've delayed what's that game everybody's
Advanced
looking forward
Wars?
to? Stalker 2 is like a big one.
Stalker 2.
Yeah, that got delayed because the devs are in Ukraine and they got all disrupted. There's interesting stuff out there, man. I feel like we're just on the cusp of what the ultimate greatest way to play retro is going to be. And our show is going to be here when it happens. You know?
It absolutely is. And there's so many ways to play retro right now. And one of the main problems I'm seeing is that everybody wants to encapsulate the experience in a single device like Evercade or something like that. And it's just so impossible to do decades worth of work and make it work consistently with all these different background hardwares in one box. The Mr. FPG, which Tony sent me, thank you so much for that, changed my life with the retro gaming.
Yeah, my life hasn't changed at all. Thanks.
I know. But even with that, it's like, even that is it's still such a crapshoot, man. There's just so many different ways to play retro.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah,
I love
do
it
too.
But there's only one way to talk about play retro, and that's to tune in on Tuesdays at 3:30 Mountain Time.
That's right.
5:30 Eastern Time.
At least for now. Mondays is our preferred day, but we got a conflict with another show that we're going to work around. So we're on Tuesdays for the next little bit. And if you want to watch us live, we use lots of video and other stuff when we do live versions of the show. So we would highly recommend checking out the live version of Play Retro. And like Brian said, it's every Tuesday, 3:30 Mountain Time, right here at frogpants.tv. Big thanks to everybody who supports us on our Patreon, patreon.com/playretro. Without you, the show doesn't literally exist. It's not really here. You can sit and yell choplifter into the sky for all I care. It doesn't exist without it. So please come help us at Play Retro on Patreon. Patreon.com/PlayRetro. PlayRetroShow@gmail.com for those email address or emails you want to send in. That's an email address itself. Play Retro Show on Twitter. And, of course, our website is frogpants.com/PlayRetro. All right, Brian. Anything else? Oh, next week, Castlevanias.
Castlevanias. I'm putting the Vanias in the castle.
My goal is to play
Vanias
every
sausages.
single Castlevania available to me. I will play at least a little of. I played a lot of many of them, but I'm going to play at least a taste of everything that I can all the way up through Symphony of the Night.
I'm going to figure out how to play a reasonable amount of Castlevania.
All right. May not be reasonable, but I am definitely going to do it. So get your hang your Belmont out and be proud, okay, everybody?
Really?
That's a weird thing to say. That's going to do it for us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And most of all, thank you for playing Retro. We'll see you next week.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Rated E for everyone.
Ooh.
Oh, nice. Rated E for everyone.